Okay guys, you join me here today in a very different car to what I usually review. It's a very special car. So this is a W108, Mercedes W108 280 SEL 3.5. It's a very long name. Only 900 something of these were mated to the 3.5 engine. And as you know, this car is right-hand drive, which means only a portion of that 900 something actually has this 3.5 liter engine. If I had to guess, probably like 100 something cars worldwide. Very rare. So this car, I mean, first impressions, just using your eyes, it's a very blue car. Okay, it's blue on the outside, beautiful blue paint. You come inside and it's blue everywhere, like even the carpets. That's why I'm wearing blue shoes today. You even have blue footrests, blue carpets, blue door cards, blue leather everywhere, matched with this wooden trim. It's beautiful. It's just, this car was made in the time that Mercedes were still coach building cars. So these cars were technically still hand built, and many would argue that this is peak Mercedes. So this is when Mercedes would over engineer everything. One of the biggest theme of this car which I observed is butter. Butter. So when okay, let me demonstrate the theme of butter. How do I demonstrate that? So from the moment you open this door to closing it, it's such a soft but confident clunk. When I first stepped into the car, I was quite surprised. I was greeted with the smell of popcorn. Honestly, it reminded me of going back to the cinema. That was very strange to me, but according to my friend, he says that this is sort of the classic Mercedes smell. So when he was a kid, he actually hated the smell, but he has since grown to appreciate it. This is one of the smoothest starts. It just comes to life. It doesn't rumble, it doesn't shake, it just vroom, comes straight to life. And as you can tell, at idle, extremely smooth. You can feel the engine is on, don't get me wrong. It's not like modern luxury cars where you are completely isolated from the engine. This, you can feel it just kind of buzzing in the background, but it's not harsh. You cannot find any peaks in the vibration. Listen to that. So smooth and revvy. It doesn't rev hang at all. You know, this is before they started doing exhaust gas recirculation and stuff like that causes rev hang. You can feel this engine is unburdened. Talking about the theme of this car, they wanted to eliminate any kind of clunkiness or notchiness in the controls. So everything is about smoothness, down to the indicator. So normally when you indicate, it will have like a click to it, but on this car, it's just a smooth operation and it'll stay in place. Of course, it will bounce back up, but engaging the indicator is a very smooth operation. Towards the end, it tightens up and then it locks into the place. It's kind of a two-stage, but it doesn't click. It feels damped. And the philosophy of the butteriness of this car, you can tell by touching the indicator as well. Normally, manual windows, you have to use a bit of strength, but look at how easy this is. So easy. Going up, okay, you have to apply a bit more pressure, but this has got to be one of the smoothest, and let me point out, quiet manual wind down windows. This quarter window, this is for smokers. So when you're smoking, you push this. Did you see that? You saw it happen, but there was no sound. It's so quiet. It's buttery. it vents air out, it sucks air out. So when you're smoking, you have the cigarette here, and as you're driving, the low pressure outside would vent the smoke of the cigarette out. And once you're done, you close it. And even closing it is a very smooth operation. The only notchy control that I have encountered in this car is this, the AC. Click. I'm not sure if this is factory. Maybe it's not. Probably not. Other than that, everything is smooth. Oh, and have you seen the armrest on this thing? Look at the size of this armrest. It's so nice. When you're driving, you have your elbow rested, and then underarm position on both sides. So on this side, you can hold it like this, and you just steer underarm. Very nice. And the steering wheel is very thin, very delicate. And what I really love about this wheel is, although it's very thin, they've implemented these kind of grooves into the rim, so it just adds to the texture of the steering wheel and the pleasure of turning it. It's really nice. And these dials, they are so beautifully designed. The yellow accents, it's amazing. Okay, now I am sitting in the back seat. Wind this window down, give it some more light. It's really comfortable back here. This headrest is so perfect. You can rest the back of your skull right where the indent is and fall asleep. And as you can see, there's a lovely little curtain. Normally when you see these kind of curtains in cars, you know, you try to do it with one hand and then the top gets stuck or the bottom gets stuck, so then you have to use both hands. In this car, so smooth. This is how you tell if a car has been restored properly. When you're sitting, you have the privacy of the curtain on your left side, and no one can see your face, so you're just sitting there, but you still have a very nice view out. This to me feels like a mobile cigar lounge, where it's just leather and wood and good smell. You know, cars these days, it's full of touch buttons, right? And the engineers, the designers, they don't even think about the control weight, the feedback, the damping, the cohesiveness of all the controls. That is kind of like a lost art in modern cars. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna show you that something that's quite unique to this car, and that is how you open the fueler cap. It's hidden here, and you need to use the key to open it, which I'm not gonna do that now. And once this is open, you wedge it right here so it stays open. Then you can put the nozzle inside. Super cool. The hood latch is here, cable operated. This is a bit, I don't know, this doesn't inspire too much confidence when I pull it. I keep thinking, because it's made out of plastic, I'm so scared it's gonna snap. Now you see the size of this hood, it's massive. You'd expect to use a lot of strength to lift it, but no, you only need one hand. You only need one hand to put it up. Instead of hydraulics, they use these springs. Simple, and it'll last forever. This engine, I can't tell you too much about it. I don't know too much about it. It's an overhead cam 3.5 liter V8, and it's running Bosch early Jetronic. On Wikipedia it says D Jetronic, but according to my friend it's L-Jet, so I don't know, can't tell. Enough poking around, let's take it for a drive. It's the seatbelt. You have this piece right here, which is retractable. You're supposed to put this into here first, and then you have this piece which comes down from the shoulder line, which is not retractable, so you have to manually adjust the length. You put it into this hole here, and then you tighten it. There you have it, your 3-point seatbelt. It's probably the most inconvenient thing about this car. I love the smell. So, when I first drove this car, I expected it to be silky smooth. However, when you start driving it, yeah, it is silky smooth, but it has a hint of a diesel engine to it. Not because it's loud, don't get me wrong, it's not the sound that makes me think of a diesel engine. It's the way it delivers its power and the way that it revs. Normally, if you think of a 3.5 liter V8, what do you think? That's a really small displacement V8. Most V8s you see will be 4 liters or more. 3.5, that's really small. And so you'd expect it to be very peaky and revvy. Well, this car, it redlines at 5,500. And that's where you get the first hint of the style of engine this is. It rarely has to rev over 3,000. You drive this car like no one else matters in the world. You just go at your own pace. This car never tells you to go fast. It's not fast. It's a very slow car. It's like 200 horsepower. Weighs a lot, so it's just a lumbering car. It almost feels like you are navigating a boat instead of driving a car. When you put your foot down, you get this very slight surge of acceleration, and the nose just lifts a tiny bit, and it feels like you are riding a wave. And pair that to the steering wheel, this massive steering wheel, which is just very light to the touch. You feel like you are on a boat. And of course you are greeted with this hood line in the front and the badge, the Mercedes, the 3-pointed star. And you just know this car demands attention and status. People, when they see your car, they don't cut you off. They let you go. They respect a car like this. But when they move out the way, it's really hard for you to catch up to them or overtake them, because this car is very slow. The gearbox on this, I believe it's a 4-speed automatic transmission. It does its job, but you know, it's a car from the 70s, the early 70s. According to my friend, it's supposed to kick down when I press all the way down on the gas pedal, which I will demonstrate right now. But it doesn't kick down, it's still at around 2,500. Of course, if you talk about the dynamics of this car, I will reply you with a question. What dynamics? There are no dynamics. This car is a limousine. It doesn't like to change directions. If you try to turn the wheel, it tries to continue going straight, and the whole car just flops. How good is the suspension at soaking up bumps? Well, I think if you are being fair and you compare it to other cars back in the day, it's probably extremely comfortable. But if you compare it to cars today, the suspension technology these days have come a really long way. Like especially damping of shock absorbers. This car is able to handle small bumps, small imperfections, but as soon as you show it big bumps, big imperfections, fuel starvation right there. It will start to feel a bit crashy at big bumps. But everything is so creamy and buttery in this car. It's like a time warp. This car has been fully restored down to the nut and bolt, so everything is built to the right specification. And this is what this car is supposed to feel like 50 years ago when it left the factory. I cannot imagine driving this in the 70s. My Alfa Romeo GTV, that car is also from the same year as this car, 1971. And when you drive them side by side, they are extremely different cars, but you can tell that they are built from the same era. There is this characteristic which carries through cars of those days, and the most noticeable thing that differentiates cars like this to modern cars, I would say, is the steering feel and the way the suspension is set up, the way the chassis deals with weight transfer and road imperfections. To be honest, I expected the car to be a bit more refined and comfortable, but maybe my expectations are just unrealistic, because I have never driven an old Mercedes before, so I really didn't know what to expect. But it really isn't bad. Let's see how it handles this. Not terrible. RPM, 70 kph, foot to the floor. Ah, okay, now it kicked down. 4,000. Shifted at 4,000. That's the first time I reached 4,000. And I told my friend, the engine becomes really loud at 3,000. He says it's completely normal. He says the noise is coming from the fan, which makes sense, because these fans are mechanical fans driven by the crank. So the faster you go, the faster the fan spins. Okay, so to kick down, you have to engage the kick down switch, which I did not before. Ah, okay. Now this car is alive. I've been driving it around the whole time. Wow, okay. That's interesting. It almost feels like this car has a double personality, before and after the kickdown switch. Interesting. I've never experienced a car like that. completely different. It's actually kind of fun. So I'll be honest and say I was kind of disappointed with this car when I first drove it, but now that I discovered the kickdown switch, it's day and night. Day and night. It adds a layer of characteristic to this car which was missing before. Yeah, it's low on fuel, so it starves when you turn right. So the top speed of this car is supposed to be roughly 200 kilometers per hour. My friend tested it and it went up to 185, which is amazing if you think about it. 200 horsepower, huge car with terrible aerodynamics. I don't know how it reaches that speed. Yeah, this kickdown switch is a godsend. Brakes are alright, but when you start braking too hard, the body kind of loses stability. It doesn't brake too straight. When you drive this car at high speeds, you really notice the aerodynamics of this car. It feels like it's punching through the air. You can really feel the amount of drag that's pulling the car back. Oh yeah, I've been driving around this whole time. It's the damn kickdown switch I've been missing out. Okay, I really need to fuel it up. It is low and it keeps starving. I need to drive this car more. So what I plan to do is to kind of do like a diary sort of thing. So I'll drive it a little bit per day and just add my thoughts bit by bit, because I haven't quite made up my mind about this car yet. Can't decide if I like it or not. But I'm starting to enjoy it more and more the more that I drive it. It's creeping under my skin. This is really stupid, but I find myself when I'm getting out of the car. Oh, I need to do that again. One more time. God damn it, it's so good. Okay, that's enough.